Black Friday is here in BDO, and the Pearl Store has a lot going on. New RNG boxes, limited time bundles, and a Pearl's Blessing spending event. But before you buy anything, there's one question everyone is asking. Are we getting the 1+1 Pearl boxes again this year? So far, we've had 3 Pearl boxes in the store, and these come with discount coupons between 20 and 40%. Now, they're decent deals, but they're nowhere close to the value of a 1+1 Pearl boxes, which literally doubles the amount of pearls you get for your money. Since I've been covering these sales for so long, my honest feeling is that it's not looking too hot this year. Last year in 2024, we went through all 3 weeks of Black Friday, November 14th, 21st, and 28th, and we didn't get the 1+1 boxes at all. They only showed up during Calpheon Ball around December 12th, which was well after most of the Black Friday sales had already ended. Now, it is still possible that we get the 1+1s again during November. We did get them in 2023, but I wouldn't bet everything on it. What this means is that if you're a middle spender, you should still consider waiting before you buy pearls. The 1+1 packs would be the best deals that you would be getting all year. And outside of the one pack that resets weekly, there's basically no downside to waiting until the end of Black Friday before making a decision. For players who already have pearls saved up, or for your higher spenders, this matters a lot less. You're either spending pearls you already have, or you're the type of player who can buy pearls now and still buy the 1+1 packs if they ever drop. But for everyone else, just remember, the 1+1 boxes are amazing value. They're just not guaranteed to appear during the Black Friday sale period. With that out of the way though, let's take a look at the RNG Tidal treasure chests and the Pearl Blessing spending event. These sales are more catered towards your higher spenders. The Tidal treasure chest is actually a pretty solid RNG Pearl box, and it's rerunning until December 4th. It's not the best RNG box that we've ever had. That title still belongs to the Rare Adventure bundle. But it's tied for second place, alongside the Blacksmith's shiny box. This does kind of make sense, because the Tidal chest is basically just a reworked version of the shiny box, with slightly less random items and slightly more crons. On average, you're looking at around 1,590 pearls worth of value per chest, or around 1,419 pearls of value if you only value crons. Since the chest cost 470 pearls, the math works out to roughly about a 70% discount equivalence, or about a 67% discount equivalence if you only care about crons. This comes out to roughly 0.88 crons per pearl. So at full price, it's fine. It's a good RNG box. But what makes it more interesting this week is that we actually got 2 packs that interact with it and make it even better. The first pack is the 2+2 Tidal pack, and this one is actually viable for middle spenders. This pack gives you 4 Tidal treasure chests for 940 pearls, which is basically 50% off. This brings the average discount equivalence up to 85.22% and around 83.44% if you only care about crons. This works out to about a 1.764 cron per pearl. This is extremely high value for one RNG box, but you can only buy 1 pack per week. However, this is the pack where players waiting for 1+1s might consider buying now. Since it resets weekly, you can buy it a total of 4 times, and there's a real reason to pick these up now before the final week. But at the end of the day, this is still an RNG box with no exclusive rewards. So it's definitely not a must-buy and very skippable if you don't like RNG boxes. After this pack though, we start getting into the more whale-oriented territory. The next pack is the Tidal Treasure Chest X70 pack, and this is the one designed for higher spenders. Unlike the 2+2 pack, the X20 and X50 versions are simply worse versions of the X70, so we won't look at those as much. At full price, the X70 pack gives around 117,000 pearls of value, or about 105,000 if you only care about crons. That works out to roughly a 76% discount equivalence, or about 73% if you only care about crons. That's around 1.1 crons per pearl. And yes, that's notably worse than the 2 plus 2 pack, even though this pack costs 27,965 pearls. But the real point of the X70 pack is to use it with discount coupons and to help fill out the Pearl Blessing event. If you slam a 40% coupon or even a 30% coupon onto this pack, the discount equivalence shoots up to around 83 to 85% for all items, or around 81 to 84% if you're only counting crons. The reason it jumps so much is simply because the pearl price drops heavily when you stack that coupon on such an expensive pack. With a 40% coupon, the pack hits around 1.828 crons per pearl, which is one of the highest cron per pearl numbers we've ever seen. So just buying the discounted third pearl pack, getting the 40% coupon, and using it on the X70 pack is actually insanely high value. Now, this is where the Pearl's Blessing spending event comes in. A really common misconception is that this event gives you a higher discount or that your cron per pearl skyrockets the more you spend. But that's actually not how it works. The Blessing event does give you bonus items and it does give you more coupons. But what it's really doing is letting you maintain the same discount level you got from that first 40% off coupon. As you fill out the Pearl spending event, you get more coupons, but you're forced down to using a 30%, 25%, or sometimes even lower to keep going. So the discount equivalence ends up being very similar to your first X70 purchase, within 1 to 2% even if you spend thousands of pearls. So middle spenders shouldn't feel any FOMO here. You're getting almost the same cron per pearl as the whales if you only buy one pack. Yes, of course, whales still walk away with more total crons, but they get that by spending a lot more pearls. The value per pearl, though, stays pretty similar. If you want to hit some of the highest value right now, just getting one pearl box, using the 40% coupon, and spending it on one X70 pack is a very strong play. Of course, this is still worse than the 1 plus 1 pearl boxes, but given the timing and given where we are with Black Friday, this is about as good as it gets. Now after the Tidal boxes, we get into the general good deals. And for all players, the loyalty packs are going to be the easiest pickup this week. We earn loyalties for free, and most of these items are pretty useful for basically every player. The enhancement stacks are a bit on the more expensive side, but if you have extra loyalty saved up, I'd still recommend grabbing them. For the silver section, we also have the Shakatu's Dazzling box, which we've covered in yesterday's video. These are great boxes, and if you want more detail, that video goes through the entire breakdown. But with the loyalties and silver deals out of the way, let's look at the great deals for middle pearl spenders. First up, for your middle spenders, we have a really solid all-around pack, the November Blessing pack for 379 pearls. This pack is great because it includes a 10% coupon, which immediately makes any expensive purchase much cheaper. If you use it on something that costs more than 3,790 pearls, this coupon basically pays for the entire pack. Now, for what we use it on, we have the Special Premium Pack, 3,400 pearls for 5 premium outfits. That's crons at roughly 80% off, or about 1.46 crons per pearl. It is slightly worse than the best RNG box deals, but this is guaranteed crons with no RNG. It is a very strong pickup for middle spenders at a pretty reasonable price. After that, we get to the more interesting part of this week's sale. Almost all 180 buffs are 40 to 50% off. This is probably one of the cheapest ways to secure long-term account buffs. You can get the Blessing of Kamasylve and Old Moon books at 50% off, and the Value Pack at 40% off. You can also choose to get a bundle with all 3 buffs together at 50% off. Personally, I value the Value Pack a lot higher than the other 2 buffs, and it's also the best value per pearl in my opinion. For middle spenders, the 5,400 pearl 180-day Value Pack is a very good deal. If you want Kama or Old Moon books individually, they're 7,500 pearls each. But the combined 3 buff bundle is 19,500 pearls. Since the Kama Blessing is a lot less valuable than the Old Moon in my opinion, and it's also a lot easier to pre-order with silver. If you really want the old moon pack, I would just buy that and the value pack separately and skip the kama if you don't want to overspend. However, if you really do want all three, the 3 buff bundle is technically the highest value per pearl. That being said, I still think just getting the value pack by itself is going to be the best for most people. The big question here though is how this compares to the 1+1 pearl packs. If you don't have any pearls right now, you should still wait and see if the 1+1 boxes appear before December 4th. However, if that day comes and we don't get any 1+1s, is it still worth buying these buffs with the regular pearl boxes? In my opinion, yeah, it can be. A value pack at 40% off is still a great deal. Even though the 1+1 pearls on a full price value pack is slightly better, closer to a 50% off, we simply can't guarantee that we'll get the 1+1s lined up with a value pack sale again. This is no doubt a very strong deal, especially when combined with the 10% off coupon from the 379 pearl pack. If you're running low on buffs, this is still a perfectly good time to refill. However, if the only thing you ever spend pearls on is the value pack, waiting for a 1+1 pearl deal to buy the value pack is still going to be cheaper. That being said, if you want the 3 buff bundle, it's expensive at 19,500 pearls. However, you can use a larger coupon like the 40% coupon from the pearl box pack and it becomes a pretty viable option. That's really if you're not going to be going for the RNG boxes. Everything else though, the maids, pets, and other cron bundles are good if you really need those items, but nothing extraordinary. Since we have 2 more weeks of sales coming, it's completely reasonable to wait before spending your pearls. But with that being said, this week is a pretty solid start to the Black Friday Pearl store. The Tidal treasure chests have good value, the 2+2 Tidal pack is excellent for middle spenders, and the 70x whale pack becomes some of the best value in the entire game when you stack it with a 40% off coupon. The loyalty deals are free value, and the silver box is great if you want to try your luck. The 180-day buffs being 40 to 50% off is one of the cheapest ways to get long-term account buffs. With all these great sales, the big question still comes down to the 1+1 pearl boxes. It's possible we get them like in 2023, but last year we didn't see any until after Black Friday. This was during Calpheon Ball around December 12th. I'd still recommend most people wait since you don't really lose much by waiting. However, if we reach that point and still don't get the 1+1s, the value pack, the premium outfit bundles, and the 2+2 Tidal treasure chests are still very solid options. They're the ones I'm personally looking at and might pick up. However, the one thing that I might buy this week is just going to be the 2+2 pack since that resets weekly. But with 2 more weeks of Black Friday ahead of us, there's really no harm in waiting to see what else PA brings out. I'll be covering each week of the Pearl store, so definitely look out for that. With that being said though, I hope you all learned something from this video, and I hope to see you all next time.